Your brain never stops. Not when you're trying to sleep, not when you're trying to relax, not even when there's nothing to think about. It just keeps going, replaying conversations from 3 years ago, analyzing what someone meant by that one sentence, imagining worst-case scenarios that haven't happened yet. And the more you try to stop, the louder it gets. You've been told to just relax, to stop worrying, to let it go, as if you haven't tried, as if your brain has an off switch you simply forgot to use. If this sounds familiar, stay with me, because overthinking isn't a choice, and it makes more sense than you realize. Here's what most people don't understand. Overthinking isn't about being negative. It's not about being dramatic. It's not about wanting to worry. It's about a brain that's wired to protect you. Somewhere along the way, your mind learned that thinking ahead prevents pain, that if you analyze enough, you won't be caught off guard, that if you prepare for the worst, it won't hurt as much, that if you replay the past, you can avoid making the same mistake. So your brain keeps working, scanning, analyzing, preparing, not because something is wrong with you, but because your mind is trying to keep you safe. The problem is, it doesn't know when to stop. Here's where this often begins. Many people who overthink grew up in unpredictable environments. Maybe you never knew what mood your parents would be in. Maybe small mistakes led to big consequences. Maybe you had to be careful about every word you said. So you learned to think ahead, to predict reactions before they happened, to analyze situations before entering them, to prepare for every possible outcome. Your brain became a survival machine, and it worked. It helped you navigate chaos. It protected you from danger. But now, even when there's no danger, your brain won't turn off. Because it learned that the moment you stop thinking is the moment something goes wrong. There's another layer here. Overthinking is often connected to a deep fear of making mistakes. Maybe you were punished for getting things wrong. Maybe you were shamed for not knowing something. Maybe you learned that mistakes meant you were stupid or careless or not good enough. So now, before you do anything, your brain runs 1,000 simulations. What if this goes wrong? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I make a fool of myself? What if they judge me? You're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to avoid the pain that came with being imperfect. Here's something that might sound familiar. You send a text and immediately regret how you worded it. You have a conversation and spend hours replaying what you said. You make a decision and then question it endlessly, wondering if you chose wrong. You lie awake at night, your brain cycling through everything that could go wrong tomorrow. And when nothing goes wrong, you don't feel relief. You just find something else to worry about. Because for overthinkers, peace feels suspicious. Calm feels like the moment before something bad happens. Quiet feels dangerous. So your brain fills the silence with noise, just in case. Here's what's actually happening in your brain. Overthinking activates your amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for fear and threat detection. When you're stuck in a thought loop, your brain is essentially in survival mode. It's scanning for danger. It's preparing for threats. It's trying to solve problems that don't exist yet. And the more you think, the more anxious you become. And the more anxious you become, the more you think. It's a cycle that feeds itself. Your brain isn't broken. It's just stuck in protection mode. Here's the trap most overthinkers fall into. You believe that thinking more will lead to answers. That if you just analyze a little longer, you'll figure it out. That if you just consider one more possibility, you'll feel certain. That if you just think harder, the anxiety will go away. But it never does. Because overthinking isn't problem solving, it's problem creating. Real problem solving moves toward a solution. Overthinking just moves in circles. You think you're being productive, but really, you're just exhausted. Here's what overthinking actually costs you. It steals your present moment. While your body is here, your mind is somewhere else, replaying yesterday, rehearsing tomorrow, missing right now. You're physically present but mentally absent, and life keeps passing while you're stuck inside your head. It also steals your energy. Overthinking is exhausting. Your brain burns more energy than any other organ, and when it's running constantly, you're drained. even if you haven't done anything. You wake up tired. You feel heavy for no reason. You have no energy left for things you actually want to do, because your brain used it all on thoughts that led nowhere. Here's another thing no one tells you. Overthinking often comes from not trusting yourself. You analyze every decision because you don't trust your judgment. You replay conversations because you don't trust your words. You imagine worst-case scenarios because you don't trust your ability to handle them. If you trusted yourself, you wouldn't need to think so much. You'd make a decision and move on. You'd say something and let it be. You'd face the future knowing you can handle whatever comes. But somewhere along the way, you learned not to trust yourself. Maybe someone criticized your choices. Maybe you made mistakes that were held against you. Maybe you were taught that your instincts were wrong. So now you think instead of trust, you analyze instead of act, you prepare instead of live. Here's what I want you to understand. Overthinking makes sense. It's not a flaw. It's not weakness. It's not you being crazy. It's a coping mechanism built from experiences that taught you to be hypervigilant. Your brain learned that thinking keeps you safe, but safety and peace are not the same thing. And the thing protecting you might also be imprisoning you. Here's what helps. First, recognize when you're in a loop. Overthinking feels productive. But notice when you're thinking the same thoughts for the third, fourth, fifth time. That's not problem solving, that's a loop. Name it. Say to yourself, this is overthinking. This isn't helping. Second, get out of your head and into your body. Overthinking lives in the mind. Your body is the exit. Move, breathe. Feel your feet on the ground. Your brain can't spiral when your body is grounded. Third, set a time limit for decisions. Give yourself 5 minutes to decide, then decide, not because you'll have certainty, but because certainty isn't coming. The clarity you're waiting for often comes after you act, not before. Fourth, practice letting thoughts pass. You don't have to engage every thought. A thought can enter your mind, and you can watch it leave. It's not ignoring, it's choosing. Not every thought deserves your attention. Here's the truth about peace. Peace isn't the absence of thoughts. It's the ability to have thoughts without being controlled by them. You can think without spiraling. You can notice without analyzing. You can wonder without obsessing. That's the goal. Not an empty mind, but a mind that works for you instead of against you. So here's what I want you to know. If your brain never stops, you're not broken. You're someone whose mind learned to protect you by thinking ahead. But you're allowed to rest now. You're allowed to trust yourself. You're allowed to let a thought go without solving it. Your brain has been working overtime for years. Maybe it's time to tell it. We're safe now. You can rest. The worst-case scenarios in your head aren't predictions. They're just fears wearing the mask of logic. You don't have to believe them. You don't have to solve them. You just have to let them pass. And when you do, you'll find something you haven't felt in a long time. Quiet, not empty, not boring, just quiet. And that quiet is where your real life is waiting. Comment, my brain never stops. Because the first step to peace is admitting you've been at war and you've fought long enough.